Practice makes perfect. You know, you can't take the shit too seriously either, right? If you make it a little bit fun and have half a smile, make the conversation enjoyable and make them smile a little bit, that's, you know, you've won them as a customer for forever.
We're going to kick off this meeting. We have some cool announcements for Tonomo from John, as well as a very, I think, powerful topic. You know, how do you deliver a 5-star customer experience? And this is not just customer service. It's, you know, the whole enchilada from, you know, like what is like the experience that your client has when they're booking with you, when they have a photo editing request, you know, how long does it take for them to get something back? I think all of those things unpack what a customer experience is. And, you know, like Adrian is our customer success manager. He leads a team of 5 customer success reps at Aerial Canvas that answer all inbound calls. So he's one of the guests that I'd love to have share today as well. And I know all of us out here provide great customer service. So our goal is to discuss, you know, how do we take that to the next level? You know, not just we know what we need to do, but for our team, how do we get our team to push what customer experience is? So that's something that I'm excited to jump on a topic about today. And I'll pass it to John. And after we do the Tonomo updates, we'll jump into the mastermind topic.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks everyone for joining. This is a special mastermind that we're doing, which is a Tonomo community mastermind. So for those that are new here, we've been doing premier masterminds for our largest customers over the past 2 years. And now we're trying to open some of this knowledge sharing up into the larger community so that we can kind of build a better community where we can share resources and knowledge and work together to kind of build our businesses up together. So in addition to the premier customers and some of the newer agency customers, there is also other people in this mastermind from Acre Partners. With that being said, you know, it's not a smaller circle. So if there's any kind of confidential information that you don't feel comfortable sharing, you know, there's no need to put those numbers up. This recording will be going up online for everyone to review. So with that said, we're going to jump into the topic. So this was the description for the topic, which is how do we provide exceptional customer service? We work in a service-based business, and it's not enough to just provide high-quality photos. For real estate agents, you know, the entire product isn't just the photos that you deliver. It's the customer service and the experience they have before the booking, during the booking, and after the booking. So that's the topic, is how do we provide great customer service? And then on top of that, how do you use that to stand out from your competitors and use that to actually get you more business? So to start, actually, what I'm going to do is share this recording that will be going later on in an article and video.
Then we do still have a lot of clients who call or email to book. And if that's the case, you know, especially if they call, we just try and get to know them and have like an actual conversation with them and not make it all about the appointment. One thing that when you're on the phone with people in general, one thing I've learned with customer service is to try and always keep a smile on your face, even though people can't see you because they can hear it. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that I tell people. But yeah, I mean, we just try and connect with them and listen. A lot of people, especially when they call, they just need someone to listen to them, whether it's before the booking, during the booking, or after the booking.
So what are some of the, when you say an actual conversation, you know, what are some of the things that you're trying to talk to them about, or what are some of the things you're listening to that they're bringing up?
Yeah, so if they bring up like it's a new listing in a new area, then I'll maybe ask them like what areas they usually focus on or something like that. Or, you know, if it's their first time booking with us, then I will try and ask who they've worked with in the past, or, you know, how they found us, and kind of explain. If it's someone who's never worked with us before, I definitely explain how our process goes. and just kind of make them feel comfortable and let them know that I am always here and Emily is always here. If they have questions about anything, they can pretty much always reach us at any time, and we're here to help them.
So that's a clip from Finley talking about how customer service is done at Kenai. And what we're going to do is just open up the floor, and anyone, all you have to do is raise your hand through Google Meets, and we can call on you. The topics that we want to talk about is, what are you guys doing today during booking, pre-shoot, shoot, post-shoot, pre-delivery, delivery, and afterwards? At all these different customer success touch points, what are you guys doing to set yourself apart and, as standard operating procedures in your business?
I'll go ahead and, first things first, find someone like Finley or half as good as Finley, because, a person with that kind of attitude and mindset it's everything, and I've said that before. She and I have been working together for almost 4 years now, and that was the best hire that I've ever made, hands down. But touch points, as far as this slide goes, every single one of those gets a personalized phone call, and we have that I think linked in Tonomo and in HubSpot or whatever CRM that we're using. And so even if someone books online through Tonomo, we call them up immediately, and just like try to upsell them and try to make them feel good about booking and ask them about the listing and just, act interested in their lives and their listing and what's going on with them. And pre-shoot, we always call the day before just to say, hey, it's usually a voicemail because, realtors don't always pick up the phone. This media pro is coming out and we'll see you at 5. Just want to make sure everything's squared away. The house is shoot ready. The access is there. And then same thing with the follow-up. We deliver the photos the next morning, video within 2 business days. And typically that first touch point is over email. And then if we don't hear anything, we'll follow up the next day and, repeat the cycle. So those phone calls are kind of hard to commit to and hard to schedule and really, follow through on, but it's everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you guys started doing customer service, for a lot of the people that's here, they're new, they're just getting started. If you just had 3 touch points to focus on, what do you think are the 3 most important touch points to get people started with customer success?
Pick up the phone is number 1. Practice makes perfect. And like Finley said, as long as you just kind of approach, you can't take the shit too seriously either, right? These are real estate agents. We're selling real estate media services. If you make it a little bit fun and have half a smile and make the conversation, enjoyable and make them smile a little bit, that's, you've won them as a customer for forever. So go into every, warm lead, cold lead, online booking, Instagram conversation with that in mind. The goal is to really connect and not just to sell. And then, following up on the deliverables. Agents, I would say 50% of the media we deliver doesn't even elicit a response from the client. And that's pretty standard for this industry. Agents are busy. They're not great with email. Some of them are illiterate, so you have to call, follow up and say, hey, just checking in. How was this? And if they have any feedback whatsoever, you have to address that immediately and be like, yeah, no problem. Happy to do that. We'll get it done. We'll adjust the vibrancy, the saturation. The sky looks too fake. We'll pop in another sky, no big deal. And, just generally get their feedback on the process so that they feel really included in the relationship and not just you slap them this video and forgot about them.
Yeah, that's really important. Dallin,
I'm just curious, at what point after you email them the deliverables do you call them? Like, do you send it? Do you call them like right after, or do you wait like an hour or 2 hours and then give them a call?
Next business day. If we don't hear from them by email, next business day.
Andy, I was just curious how you tackle like repeat customers. So sometimes we got 3 shoots in 1 week for one client. Are you calling them every shoot, or that's the goal, or it's like kind of play it by ear based on the client?
Yeah, I leave that to the judgment of our business development person, Emily, who is really our main client liaison and touch point. And right now, her job is scheduling a lot of the inbound calls, which are probably 5 to 20 a day, and writing custom proposals, and then doing all of the pre-shoot calls and follow-up calls. And that's pretty much her job specifically. She does booking in Tonomo and adjusts the schedule and communicates with our media pros via Slack. But, I set her and Finley up with a pretty good salary plus like a tiered commission structure, so that they're really like vested in the success of the company on a monthly basis as well, on a cash basis. And that's proven to be a really good move for me.
Awesome. So we're going to jump into some of the specific questions that people have asked, and that we have as prompts here. So segueing from this, which is you need to have great customer success. What we want to talk about is, how are you marketing customer success? How are you using customer service, either in asking people for Google reviews, doing testimonials? What are you guys doing to market your service? And and what's working out for you guys as a way to kind of get new leads? Brendan, go ahead.
Yeah, so one aspect, like, I think getting the customer reviews and testimonials is, it's the 10% that's not as important, because like once you get 5 star reviews and you get like 30 of them, 40 of them, or even 5, 10 of them, yeah, people get it. You're a good business, you have good reviews, and it makes a marginal difference. I think the biggest difference is exactly what Andy said: picking up the phone and connecting with them. And when they call, having someone, even if it's like a VA that you can afford to pick up the phone and take a message, I think that answering service, or that ability for them to connect with a real person, is so undervalued and understated in a lot of businesses. The reason why Aerial Canvas has gotten more business from referrals, from other aspects of doing good customer service, is our agents are like, you're like the company that actually picks up the phone for us. And when you're competing with a real estate like freelancer as an agency that's growing, what you have as an agency that's advantageous is you have a staff that is able to answer their questions, to address their concerns, to consult them on projects, when the freelancer is too busy, on back-to-back shoots, and that can't answer their phone because they're literally have a gimbal in hand. That's what you have as an agency, and that's what clients actually really like. That's why I pay for a premium service at a lot of places, because I want to be able to not be in a queue of like a big line, and I want to be able to talk to a real person. I know that if I book with Alaska, I can reach a real person. If I book with Spirit, I might have to wait, like 3 days to get a response. Who knows? I haven't booked with like a budget airline for a while, because I don't want the budget service. And so that's something that you can use really strongly in your positioning when you connect with clients, is by letting them know. And this is where I want to get to, like the reviews are nice, the testimonials are nice, and they speak a lot. But when you say, hey, when you call me, I will pick up, or I'll get back to you as soon as humanly possible. If not, I'll have someone on my team make sure that it's taken care of. That is how you deliver that 5-star like service, is because we're at a point in time where people expect and want that human touch. That if they get pushed off, they have to fill out a form or email, it takes a lot of that experience away. They're like, why am I paying you $1,000 for a package when I can't even talk to a human the same day? So being able to have that human touch and positioning yourself as a company, saying, hey, you can call or text us at any time and we'll get back to you. We'll give you a call back. That's very powerful.
Awesome, Brendan. So anyone else have anything to say about customer service as marketing? Cool. So go ahead.
Great. I'll just quickly add, I agree the testimonials are good. And one thing I just did for my business that you guys might want to do as well is I made a template in Premiere Pro with Google reviews, and I put a headshot of the person reviewing, their name, their company, added a little motion to it, and we've added that to our Instagram as a story highlight, or in the process of it. So we've made like 50 of these Instagram stories, and we'll probably run them as like ads as well too. Nothing like seeing industry leaders, sing your praises. I think that's definitely valuable when it comes to marketing your customer service.
Yeah, that's great. Adrian, you're on mute.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have something on each one of these topics for sure. I'm just trying to be conscious of time and everybody here on the floor and not raise a hand for everyone. But in terms of, the topic that we're on, the social proof is important. I think like Brendan said, there is a break-even point though. Once you get to a certain amount of 5-star reviews, 50, 100, whatever it is, beyond that number, people aren't scrolling through every single piece of word feedback, right? So like you said, they get the idea, but it is a numbers game, and I know this because when I actively place an effort on, just taking every opportunity where we have a valuable piece of good feedback from a client to ask for that, they're more than happy to give it because they're business owners, right? They're their own brand, like, especially if you are willing to do the same for them. Like, hey, let's do this, hey, give me some reviews and I'm happy to provide the same thing for you, especially if you had a good experience with that client or they're a great client. Like, giving them that social proof back in return, it's a win-win, right? You say, hey, just if you're down to give me the review, I'll do the same, right? So that definitely helps. But it is a numbers game. You have to be bringing it up and talking about it. And I think probably most people in the room, I would guess, although I could be wrong, is we're just not talking about it enough. I think I haven't stressed this with my team enough. It's one of our things we could be doing better. But yeah, if you have a client that's giving you a great piece of feedback and they really love the content, great, dude, help us out with the review, right? And we are at a point where we have a good amount, at least for our Bay Area market. I think for our other markets, we still need some traction, but like I said, it's a numbers game. And then with the referrals and especially with like client testimonials, I think video testimonials are more powerful than the worded ones. Everybody sees worded testimonials everywhere, but we're doing video as a business, right? So try to capture some video testimonials if you can. Offer something to your clients, give them something, potentially like a free, fairly inexpensive service that they'll give you a video testimonial because they're happy with your business and what you've done. Creating win-wins, adding a lot of value because those things are very valuable to you as a business. With Aerial Canvas, it's kind of exponential. We've got to a point where, we don't need it quite as much as we did early on, but, they're still valuable. But especially I think for younger businesses or people that are still trying to gain that foothold in the market, if you want to get them fast and get them aggressively, then you got to bring it up. You got to talk about it and engage that way. You'll find success there.
Nice. And Adrian, what are you asking customers? So you get them on the phone. What are you actually asking them? What questions are you using as prompts to get good feedback or to get, clear feedback about their experience?
Well, right now we're at a point where, I can't stress the importance enough. I think that the most important part is probably the post-shoot side of things. Calls are definitely great, but at scale, calls are costly, realistically, right? You might spend 5 minutes in a call, you might spend 15, 20, 30, like it really depends. So at some point you have to automate some of your feedback opportunities, meaning provide them an opportunity for, a feedback survey, a way to engage, by them writing something down or just taking a quick providing an emoji, like provide them different opportunities, because agents engage at different times. Any day of the week, you might catch them in a good point where they can get into a call with you, or they might be really in a hurry, or they're driving, or they're at a showing, or whatever, right? It's always go, go, go with them. So sometimes they need to be able to do a call. Sometimes they need to be able to just do something quickly, get a text and provide a piece of feedback for you. But it's all valuable. It's all data, and it's all insights that you can use. So I think it just kind of depends on, how I'm engaging with the client. But if it's specifically, in a call, for example, it's really just like Andy was saying, you just want to create the connection. You definitely want to make it fun. That's one of the biggest things that I stress to my team, actually, is like, hey, if you're not having fun, there's something wrong. Like, you should be having a good time. Maybe not every call, there's obviously escalations and problems that happen, but just the relationship and asking really insightful questions, a lot of question asking, a lot of data mining. If you're focusing on that, I think, just trying to get good, valuable insights and develop a strong relationship and have fun while you're doing it, you're going to slip and fall into important feedback about the nature of the project and what happened. If you're just demonstrating interest and engaging with them on a level that you would want to engage with a friend or a family member or someone who's paying your paycheck, who's keeping you in business, then they will tell you about what they felt about the project. And then, from there, if it's a positive response, it becomes very easy and it becomes very natural to be able to ask for, a review. And you'll feel it intuitively. You're all salespeople, you're all business owners, entrepreneurs. You'll know when the appropriate time is to ask for, for that kind of an ask. Hey, you had a great experience. Cool. Give me some feedback, right? So, yeah.
Awesome. So the next topic that we have is training photographers for customer service. So the actual photo shoot is a very important part of the overall customer experience. And if you have agents there, then you have to train your photographers to be able to interact with them. For some companies, this also includes things like upselling or consulting them and adding additional services that they can add on at the photo shoot. So I'm just going to open up the floor. Maybe Brendan and Adrian can start. What are you guys doing to train your photographers to provide good customer service and also be good sales people and consultants in the field?
Sure. I think we can all agree that a lot of photographers that we may hire, or even ourselves, we're not like the most like extroverted, and I think that's something that makes sense because as a photographer, someone who wants to be behind the camera, you might tend to be more introverted, and I think even if you are introverted, there's a way where or you have introverted photographers, there's a way that you can still communicate with the clients to provide a great customer service. Just because you're introverted or you have introverted photographers doesn't mean they can't talk or they're not willing to talk. A lot of them are, they're just a little bit less loud, like myself. But we do a level of training. One is like the etiquette, right? We ask our photographers to either text or call before they head over to a shoot, just so the agents know that they're underway. If they show up, we and they meet the agents in field. The standard expectation is that they ask the agent, hey, I'd love to walk through the house to make sure, is there anything specific you want me to focus on or capture? And really be there to do a little walkthrough and show the agent that they're not just there to be in and out, but they care about the results. And I think that attention to detail when it comes to notifying the client before the shoot and asking the client, hey, is there anything you want me to focus on? In addition to some notes that they may have already made, if there are notes, they can say, hey, I noticed you want me to focus on the views, this and this. Is there anything else? And doing that potential walkthrough where they walk through the with the agents, on premise, and take five, maybe even 10 minutes to just talk about the property and show the agent hey, I definitely want, I like what I see here. I definitely want to focus on this. I want to do this. I'm definitely going to get the views here, and giving the agent the confidence that they need to know that, hey, this guy's a pro. This photographer obviously cares. That's number one. But secondly, is a professional around the job, and they're going to do a good job because they've taken the time to really understand the house and the project and how to potentially paint the listing to its potential. And after you've done that, you're actually in a great position to finally make the upgrades and the consultations, saying, hey, I noticed there's these lights and all these things. Are we coming back for Twilight? And they're like, oh no, but yeah, it would look cool at night, wouldn't it? That's when you can introduce that potential upsell or upgrade in the conversation, because you've taken the time to truly understand the client, the property. And when you make that recommendation, it seems genuine, and it seems actually, like you've taken the time to understand that this is an actual opportunity for them. Versus if you just come in right off the bat saying, like, if you're a little bit too aggressive, you might get a lot more pushback from your clients than we have. We actually stopped incentivizing at some point our photographers a commission to upsell in field, unless they've received the proper training on not being too aggressive on an upsell. Because when they had an incentive to make 25% of an upsell, they were like forcing videos and upgrades, kind of like at on our agents, to the point where they called in to the project manager saying, hey, why is this photographer so desperate and wanting me to shoot like video? And like, I told you, I don't need it. Like, it's not within my budget. And, having the proper notes as well. Like, if you have a project management team or a way to track things, and this is something that Tonomo is working on, a more full-fledged CRM, to see if a client is like a reoccurring client that they don't want to be upsold in field. They know what they want. They've already been consulted enough times, and being able to identify, and if you have a project management team, maybe the project manager, if, they know the client doesn't want to be upsold anymore because they already tried, when they made that initial consultation, that the photographer should not be in field saying, hey, how about video? How about, Twilight? We've already had this conversation. The client's going to get annoyed at some point. So being able to communicate that to your photographers, if you do have a project management workflow or a consultation workflow, is very important. So you're not stepping, you don't seem like a buffoon type company asking the same question. Hey, what about video? What about, Twilight? And making sure that you don't get a little bit, too aggressive in field is something to be very conscious of. But I have a lot of points, but hopefully that gives you a general idea. Before the shoot call, walk through with the clients, make a recommendation, and do your due diligence before making the recommendation. If, your photographer should probably talk with you as a business owner, because you might know the agent better. Hey, this agent, I saw that he doesn't have a video on this project. It's a really nice listing. Should I, show him some samples in field? Have that cadence where your photographer in field might want to communicate with yourself as an agency owner that might know the agent better, or a project manager if you have one in place. So you guys aren't, seeming too ridiculous when, consulting in field and providing that service and opportunity to make more revenue as well.
Anyone else has anything to say on this topic? Otherwise, we will move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'll just quickly agree with everything that Brendan said. I think we're on the same page. We don't do any upsells in the field, but obviously hiring great creative specialists and photographers is super important. In fact, I pretty much hire on personality more so than skill set. I mean, obviously there's got to be a base level skill set, but hiring, friendly, kind, likable people is extremely important to the success of the business. And in that same vein, leading by example, and not asking photographers to do anything that you wouldn't personally do. And when it comes to etiquette, it's a huge part of the training. And I'm personally creating training videos. And I mean, we're getting into minutia, like, asking if it's okay to wear shoes in the house, and distance to park your personal vehicle away from the home, and things like that, someone who's just coming into the real estate media industry might not really understand the importance of. But after like 10 years of doing this stuff, I can tell you that attention to detail is what, will set your company and your photographers apart from people who are just getting into it.
Yeah, I think that's very powerful, Andy. Having like a list, like an etiquette list, at least as a baseline, pre-shoot, like a checklist for them to do their job right, obviously, because customer service a lot of times is in the product. sometimes you need customer service to like, course correct if you miss something or you miss the bathroom. So obviously like part of it is just training your photographers on the actual job. And the second part is etiquette. Like how are they interacting with their clients? Obviously don't be pushy on sales, be respectful. And those small things, like Andy said, asking, hey, is it okay to wear shoes in the house? Maybe like it's just a policy for you and your photographers to, hey, if you come in, wear the booties or go socks only. So you don't even have to ask the question. But some agents are a little bit more lax. Some homeowners are a bit more lax, and they're like, yeah, you can keep your shoes on. But you get an Asian household, then why are you a photographer? Wear a shoe in the house. Like you don't want that, right? So I think better safe than sorry. And if you can consistently have an etiquette list of like park your car at least a half a block away from the house so it doesn't show up and like right in front of the drone photo with your car like literally like on the adjacent to where the lawn ends is important. Same with like the etiquette of, hey, removing trash and water bottles. If it takes you less than 30 minutes to move it or 30 seconds to move something, just move it out of the way for the photos. It goes a long way, especially if the agent is in field. They're looking. If they see your photographer like have that extra attention to detail, like move the hose out of some garden shots that might be lingering, or move the trash can out in front of the house, goes a long way. Like, hey, I noticed like there's a trash can here, like there's some personal affects, like I'd be happy to move it, but I don't want to touch anything. This goes deeper in training, but like having a baseline etiquette. And if you need help, like reach out to Andy and I. We'll give you like at least a baseline etiquette, and from what we use with our team. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you guys train your customer, I guess your photographers to do this, is this a one-time training? Do you guys have, is this something that's going on consistently? And what are you guys doing to kind of track customer service and kind of improve it in your company?
That's a loaded question. And our training process is, paid as soon as I decide I want to commit to someone. They're on salary at that point. And we have different performance benchmarks. But, the first part of it is just watching some videos, coming along on shoots with various creative specialists, and then working through a shoot with the supervision of a creative specialist, and then starting them on low-level properties with photography only, then moving them up to video, then moving them up to agent on camera, and then luxury properties ultimately. And it just takes time. I don't think there's any, there's so many nuances to the work that we do out there. There's so many little details that require experience and attention. Maybe Aerial Canvas has a system that like fast tracks and makes, superhuman photographers in a week's worth of boot camp. But for us, it's about 3 to 4 weeks. And as far as getting feedback on that, it just comes in the follow-up calls from our project managers, who would relay anything like that to the creative specialist.
yeah, it's around 1 month for us as well. Like you have to invest in your photographers, like sometimes even longer, on the skill level. But like on etiquette, it should, like Andy said, when you hire on attitude and personality, like the etiquette almost is second nature. Anyone that's respectful that I bring over to my house, like they're like, hey, can I wear shoes inside? But some people don't like, and that's where training is important. But even I wear shoes in my house sometimes when I'm like, like kind of fast in the swing of things. And that can happen with your photographers when they're like, they gotta shoot 3 things, and they're coming in, they got their shoes, and that small thing can actually lead to a customer service issue where the agent will call in and be like, yeah, your photographer is like seems like he was in a rush and like tracked mud into the house. And we're like, oh, like Adrian's getting that call. But Adrian, how do we handle like tracking, like when
the rushing photographer is the biggest, I think, like one of the most severe complaints that we get.
Yeah, And that's why we actually don't schedule our photographers more than 2 big shoots a day, like photo, video, drone, Matterport shoots. Or like if they're doing photo only shoots, I think we try not to schedule them for more than 4, maybe 5 if they're doing small projects a day. Purely because we don't want them to rush. And you might think you're gonna make more money, but you're also putting your reputation and customer service, possibility situations at a higher risk when you have rushed photographers. So we make our photographers take a mandatory lunch break, 1 hour, give them enough time to travel, because it's not worth it. It also burns them out to the point where they gave less, pardon my French, less fucks about, rushing. And when they're rushing, they're not going to take the time to say, hey, agents, lovely to meet you. I'm Brendan with Aerial Canvas. Love to take 5 minutes to just walk through the home to make sure, everything's in place, that if there's anything you want me to focus on, that you let me know. And we deliver results that you're very excited about and your clients are excited about. So, like when you feel rushed, you that's sometimes the last thing you think about. You're like, oh shit, I gotta scan this, and I got 2 hours. Like get out of my way. It's not the right attitude to approach an issue. But Adrian, did you want to drop some points about how we track when things do go wrong? Like how do we address those things?
Sure. Yeah. We lean heavily on the CRM. It isn't. First of all, it is of paramount importance that you track it all. I mean, for one, you guys were asking about the training of photographers. I mean, and how consistent that is. It has to be consistent. I mean, I don't know how big some of the businesses are here for y'all, but you will have turnover. Your team that you have now will, you guys are going to shed your skin. That's just part of small business. It's going to happen, and it's natural. It's supposed to happen. So the people that you have now on your squad, some of them, you look at them, right? They're not going to be with you in 3 months, 6 months. It's just, that's the nature of the business. So you're continually cycling through team members, not just in your photo video guys, but with all aspects of your company. So yeah, the training is super, super important. I mean, one thing I try to tell my team all the time, and there's an area of opportunity for us as well in this arena, but there's no championship level team that isn't training aggressively and consistently and hitting on key topics over and over and over and over. So I when I do connect with the creative side of our business and our managers that manage that team, we've done some workshops for customer service and things of that nature. But it is very important. We try to do that regularly. And I think training of the photo video guys consistently and reinforcing these things and having certain kinds of recorded and written trainings in place that they can use as resources and giving them tools to do their job, not just the cameras, is definitely very important. In terms of how we track these issues, you definitely got to track them. You got to know it all in terms of what those fail points are, because if you don't, it's just doomed to repeat itself, right? If you didn't track it and then investigate it and ensure that your client who experienced that less than ideal issue has been communicated with and that they feel that there was a reasonable resolution, there are plenty of places in town to do business. We're not the only place, right? So they will take their business elsewhere at some point. Sometimes they'll do you the favor of letting you know they're going, but in most cases they won't. They'll just exit out the side door and go and work with someone else because they have that bad taste in their mouth. So in terms of tracking it, we leverage our CRM heavily, which is HubSpot. And there's a feature in there called tickets. There's a feature of this kind in every CRM. And we create an escalation ticket or a ticket of some nature. We track it. We list what the exact issue was, who was involved, who fielded the issue, what PM was attached, who the photo video team member was, and then ultimately what the resolution was. And in most cases where there's a large size escalation, I'm involved to oversee that and make sure that there is a proper conclusion to that issue. But yeah, the tracking is pretty straightforward. I think the complicated stuff is how you resolve it and how you communicate and how you ensure that they're still with you as a client and not considering stepping away.
And yeah, just on that, anytime there's a customer service issue, like we will bend over backwards to make it right and often comp the job, like whatever it takes to keep a client happy in this industry. You've got to have thick skin. You can't ever bite back because who we're working with. I mean, our clients are real estate agents. As soon as you get snappy at them or get defensive, like it's done. So you really have to just suck up your pride quite often when there is an issue, in my experience.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. So now let's move on to the next stage in the process, which is after the shoot is complete and you're now in post-production and delivery. What processes do you guys have to ensure that you guys are delivering high quality deliverables to your customers? And what happens when something does go wrong and your customers, call you and complain about it?
Hey, John, I think that's a great question, and I'm not trying to take the question. I'm actually trying to give permission. I see a lot of great agency owners out here, like Daryl. We got Richard. I know you crush it on the quality and consistency. Do one of you guys want to take that question, or anyone else want to volunteer?
Good one. That's something that we want to do a little bit more for, actually. Right now, we're just kind of sending it out, and kind of like Andy was saying, if they respond, that's great, but probably 90% of people don't ever say anything, even though we'll hear it months later. So like following up with that for sure is something I want to look into doing more of. Quality control, though, we have usually like 2 sets of eyes on it before it goes out, just to catch anything like major. And then otherwise, if we have an issue, we always fix it. If that means sending someone back, even though what we delivered was acceptable in our minds, if their clients don't think it was, we'll send someone back to get that one shot that was missing, maybe, just to make them happy. And we ran into that recently, actually, and the agent was just like dumbfounded. Like, they were willing to pay for us to come back because they didn't agree with their client really either, but we're like, no, let's just make it right. We threw in some extra aerial shots for them, and he was over the moon. So definitely bending over backwards, even though it sucks sometimes.
Yeah. Hey guys. So yeah, basically what Brendan and Daryl are saying is you just have to bend over backwards basically with the client and make sure that don't take anything personal, don't have a big ego when it comes to this. At the end of the day, we're providing a service, and this is a business trying to make money while having fun with it as well. As far as the customer and quality control goes, for my team, I have about 2 to 3 sets of eyes when it comes to this. I always have our photographers right after the shoot. They select all the images that need to be done. They don't just grab the memory card and dump it to the editing team. Since they were there, they have the better set of eyes to understand what needs to be done or fixed in post. So for example, let's say that the grass is messed up. They have to add comments to our team. Hey guys, make sure to fix up the grass. Make sure that, make a quick sky replacement. Even though each editor already knows what they have to do, we have our photographers tell everybody, hey, this is what needs to be redone. Like, make sure to remove patches from the walls or whatever. So all those extra things that the photographer is able to, that extra feedback that the photographers could give to the editing team helps a hell of a lot more. Being in touch with the quality of the colors and all that stuff. In the end, our goal is always to give the clients, what do you call it? Like ready to use photography. Basically, like if it hits their inbox, ready to use, ready to post. It might not happen all the time because of shit happens. Maybe the lighting or something was a little different, or maybe it was shot at the wrong time of the day and they were expecting it to look brighter. But so yeah, we'll grab those concerns directly from feedback from the client directly. Most of the time, we always send a follow-up email saying, hey, just want to make sure that this was done properly and that's good to your liking. Even if they don't reply or anything, that at least, we have to follow up with those things. And if anything's wrong, we just fix it up quickly, or we just offer up, hey, we can go back, reshoot, do whatever it takes to make sure that we keep this client happy, basically.
Adrian?
Appreciate that, Daryl and Richard. Go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, 3 things. One thing that Richard mentioned was like, or maybe it was Daryl, but you were just kind of saying like, yeah, they don't a lot of times, 90% of the time, they don't have, like something immediately to say back. Well, one thing I can promise you is that they do have something to say, but they may not have a platform to say it. So that's one. I'll expand on that super quick. Another thing is trust but verify. Trust your team, but have a process in place that tries to solicit, feedback in a non-biased way, right? In other words, don't have your PMs trying to gain all the information, or your CSRs trying to gain all the information on a personal level, because they might potentially skew the information as it's coming in and as they log it. And not that we believe that they will, but if there's a potential for that, then you want to try to avoid it, because they may, be getting feedback about how they could do their job better, and they might write down or notate that in a different way that makes them look like they're without fault. And so trust but verify, it's very important. And then implement a process. This is something that we don't fully have in place, at least not a robust version that I'd like to have. And so my target is to, and I'll commit to this now, as to before the end of the year, for sure, like in Q4, to have a better process for client feedback. They do have things to say, but they just don't, sometimes they don't have the time, or they don't have the proper platform to provide this feedback. So, I think a post-project feedback type of a thing is something that I highly recommend everybody, try to implement early on, because we really should have got something like this in place that's strong sooner. I'm currently actively engaged with my team in something that we call Top 100 Outreach, which is essentially reaching out to our top 100 clients to gain really important, sentiments and pieces of feedback from them. And none of my calls have been under 20 minutes. I mean, I start off by lying to them right out of the gate. I'm like, hey, I'll keep it really quick because I know they're busy, right? And then I just jump into it. And then it always goes for 15, 20, 30, in some cases, 30, 35 minutes, like approaching 40 minutes. And they have a ton of feedback, both on the positive, neutral, and negative side to offer, about things that have happened recently, and then even dating back to projects last year, right? And this is invaluable stuff that is not in our CRM. It's in some cases not logged anywhere, that should have been somewhere along the way, right? And if they had an opportunity and a voice, VOC is a real thing, voice of the customer, right? If they have a voice and a platform to really simply and easily and intuitively and quickly, provide their feedback on a post-project basis, you're going to gain a ton of important and valuable data points that extend beyond just your current team. When the next team members come on, you have data to share, So I think it is definitely crucial to get that feedback from them.
Nice. That's really awesome. That's really awesome advice. We are running out of time. Brendan, do you have anything last minute that you want to say, or do you want to close us out on this mastermind?
Yeah. So I think the overall theme of today's conversation is delivering a 5-star service, and it comes down to certain themes that I keep observing. One is being proactive, right? When you call an agent after they're making a booking to consult them, to share excitement with them, that's proactive. When you have the right training and etiquette, you're being proactive. When you have a great booking system and a great scheduling system where your clients can easily understand where their order's at, that's being proactive. Being reactive is not having any of those things. And why don't you have it? It's because you haven't taken the time to make those investments. Because either you're gonna have to deal with it on the back end and be reactive to potentially losing business, to doing X, Y, and Z, and that's inevitable. We still have Adrian, to make sure things don't fall through the crack. But when you're proactive about making investments in your business to get the results, to get the systems, to get the people in place to deliver the 5-star customer service, that's how you actually deliver the 5-star customer service, is by investing in the things you need to create a 5-star customer service. It's not, you don't create a 5-star customer service by having to deal by dealing with every customer complaint, because that is reaction, right? That is reactionary. That is the medicine for the illness. But how do you avoid having to take the medicine in the first place and deal and put yourself in a situation where you have to deal with an angry, upset customer who wants to bend backwards for someone? That's not the goal, right? So the goal is, if you don't want to bend backwards, you make the right investments in being proactive. Do you have a project manager or admin operation staff to be proactive about talking with clients, to make sure that, projects are set up right for success? That your photographer, you know what, one reason, like, it's a domino effect. If your project manager or your system or the way you've brought on clients does not train your agents to be, you know, on top of their stuff and make sure the listing is clean and doesn't have trash everywhere, or it has a contractor there painting. If you have that in place and you can avoid those situations, and you have the right terms of service, the right expectation setting, then your photographer isn't led into a situation where they're stressed out rushing from project to project because they're literally waiting 30 minutes on, you know, a listing agent's contractor to finish up, you know, moving the trash and like the debris from the house, or a stager. And so it all comes from being proactive. And if you are proactive in everything you do with your organization, you're going to be that much more successful. It's about making the investments today so you can avoid having to, you know, pay, you know, like the consequences of not making the investments. And it's in everything you do, right? It's in investing financially and like investing in stocks today, so you don't have to work when you're 65 and not have a retirement fund. It's the same concept in business. If you want to set yourself up for success, and I know, like, as a small business, as a startup, myself included, we all have a budget. But what can you afford to budget towards being proactive with your clients? What can you afford to budget to be proactive with training your photographers so they have the right etiquette? It's all about making the investments early on so you don't have to deal with the consequences if you don't. So I think that's the theme. Like, make the investments, be proactive, because if you don't, you're going to be reactive and you're going to be trying to scratch your way out of a 4-star, you know, business. You don't want to be a 2-star business working your way up. You'd rather be a 5-star business, you know, right off the bat. So make those investments. That's my 2 cents. Thanks, everyone.
All right, awesome, Brendan. Well, this ends our mastermind. If you guys have questions or anything, you know, I think some people will be sticking around. Otherwise, have a great night, and we will talk to you guys later.